Podcast. I'm Shane, and is with me as always is my man Trey.
Yes, I am Trey, and we are live for another edition of the West Coast Podcast. Appreciate you guys for coming in on a Saturday edition of the West Coast Podcast. Gonna be going over some scheduling prerequisites here before, but right now I'm making sure that I get the notification on my phone that we're live, because alright. Well, I didn't get the notification. Oh, yeah, here it comes. Yeah, we're good. Alright, so yeah, appreciate you guys for jumping on the podcast on a Saturday edition. Shane is still going through it. He has his thumb that's been bothering him, and he's actually going to be taking a trip. I'll pass it on to him if he wants to elaborate a little bit more on what's going on with that. And that's why we're moving it on Saturday and trying to be as energetic and as awesome as always. But going forward, we do have our next podcast will be August 2nd, 10:30 p.m. Pacific time, and all of them will be 10:30 Pacific time every other Friday from that. And Shane, how have you been doing, number one, and what do you have going on for the next few days? And then
Appreciate it, Trey. Unfortunately, my thumb is still messed up, man. It is basically like it's really hard to even move with the left thumb for playing video games, which obviously that's what we're here for. So, I mean, I'm not entirely sure. I have to definitely get better um, for Madden 25 when it comes out. And then I am going on a little trip starting next week at the end of Friday to the West Coast to watch some baseball games, the Seattle Mariners. So that will be pretty legit. And I'm excited for it just to get away, get out of town. But yeah, man, the thumb is healing slow, Trey. Maybe it is my age, but I mean, the guy got me really good. Like I said, in in all my life, I'll be honest, my thumb has never completely turned black like it did. But yes, so like you were saying, we do have a set schedule. We're going to clarify again, and it'll continue on, but we're just giving you the next, month or not month. Next four podcasts will be August 2nd, August 16th, August 30th, and September 13th, like Trey said, at 10:30 p.m. Pacific time. So definitely come check us out. Come hang out with us. I mean, Trey is always making the questions hit. Sometimes I, respond very well. Sometimes my brain, fuzzes out. But no, that's where we are. So be sure to join us. Trey, how have you been?
alright, give me a second here. I'm adjusting the mic, so it might be a little bit loud, or a little more slack, and alright, we're good to go now. So yeah, that'll that'll be taking place, and we're excited to bring you guys the consistency, the Shane got you 11 experience once his thumb is feeling better. Definitely going to be on the streaming side again. I know Shane is chopping at the bit to get back into the whole streaming and being active with the community that we are building over here. Shout out to Rose, shout out to X-Fan and all them guys that constantly are supporting us in the stream. It means a lot as we're looking forward to grow during this Madden 25 season. But to answer your question, Shane, I've been doing pretty good. It's pretty much been the same old for me, just grinding. I'm doing some podcasts. If you want to check it out, my YouTube channel name is Trey is Raw, and you can find the podcast on there. Been doing a lot of interviews on the sports media side, and Shane was actually the one that kind of got the ball rolling in that. I told him this story before, but no, things have been doing pretty good over here. I hate the heat. The heat sucks. It's getting like triple digits consistently, so that part of it is trash. But overall, just trying to stay positive and all that. And you mentioned, Shane, that you're going to a Mariners game, and I want to ask you: is this your first Mariners game that you've been to? And also, what would you say is the best sporting event that you've been to in your life?
Appreciate it, Trey. Yeah, definitely go check out Trey's channel. He's got some cool stuff on there. Definitely got some good interviews with his brother out there with the media. This is Trey. I think this is like I don't know. I've gone to a handful of Seattle Mariners games. I went to a couple last year. I my favorite one honestly was when Felix Hernandez was in his prime, and he pitched. I think it was Texas Rangers, if I'm using my brain, and they won 2-1, and it was a sold out crowd, and it was rocking. I am planning on going to the game Saturday night, which will be after the All Star break, the second game after the All Star break, and it'll be against the Houston Astros, so the crowd will be sold out, and it will be rocking. So maybe this one will be even more exciting than the Texas Felix Hernandez game because you're fighting for first place. Where I don't believe when I went, the Mariners were in first place. I think they were like third or second. Don't quote me for sure on that. But I've gone to some Seahawk games. Gonzaga game was really wild against UW like a long time ago when Nate Robinson was playing. Been to some fantastic games over the year, Trey. I mean, it's really hard to pick out anyone because it wasn't like it was make or break. If they win, they make the playoffs. If they don't, they lose, or clinching games to make the playoffs or win the division. Gonzaga versus Kentucky a couple years ago at the Spokane Arena was really fire. Great win and all that. I did get to see a backboard explode by the opponent a long time ago at the Spokane Arena. So that was pretty sick as well. What about you, Trey? Have you been to any games or anywhere that you've been like, wow, this is amazing?
For me, I've never been to like major sports. Talking like MLB, NFL, etc. But I'm hoping that because obviously it's on my bucket list of things to do is to go to a NFL game. But been to a few local basketball games here and there. Went to a Vandal game. Shout out to Trebe. He covers the Vandals, and looking forward to maybe going to a few more of those games. But honestly, I think my favorite events to go to were the Spokane Shock, and then they rebranded to the Empire, and now they're out of the indoor football league. And I know Shane. He looks at it as a joke, which I'm sure a lot of people do. He's not the only one, but from a pure fans perspective, it was fun. I mean, it's basically like basketball, but it's football. It's higher scoring, quicker pace, and all that. So those were always fun to go to. But I want to ask you about going to a baseball game. You said you've been to a baseball game last year. And would you say that the experience of going to a baseball game is a lot worse now? Because I hear people that, they go to a baseball game and it feels like actually, they feel like by the time you actually get to your seats and, you get the concessions and all that, the game's pretty much over within an hour. Is that pretty accurate?
Trey, yeah, I mean, I did go to the Spokane Shot game. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of indoor football league. I am glad you had a blast, bro. Like, honestly, it was cool. It just wasn't my cup of tea, if that makes sense. Um, Honestly, I'm gonna say a story, and it kind of trips me out still, and everybody's gonna be like, "Yeah, you're old as hell." But like really, this trips me out. So last year we went, and it was the Angels versus Mariners, and then it was the Yankees versus Mariners. Well, the crowd was like 50-50 Yankees and Mariners. It was sold out. I mean, no real big problems. Like, there wasn't any real big problems. But this is a story that I'm just like, wow, it's a little bit crazy, like how technology's gotten. So my brother got tickets right by the third base side. Real dope tickets. Shout out to my brother on that. If you go in to buy some snacks at this area where he got it, right, on the third base side, you'd walk in, you'd beep your card on a scanner when you walk in, and then you pick any snacks you want, any food you want, and you'd leave, and they would charge you for what you bought after. And my brother and I were confused as hell. Like we were like, "Yo," like we asked a worker, "How does that work?" And they're like, "You see that?" And they're pointing out to all the cameras and like really close up, so they watch you, so they watch what you buy, and then they just charge you for what you bought. It was one of the wildest. I can't even really explain how it was when I'm explaining what I'm saying. Like, it's crazy, Trey. Like, you really walk in somewhere, you scan like your card or whatever, you need to, I believe you have to have obviously a debit card or a credit card, and then you get whatever you want after you scan it, and then you leave, and the eye in the sky charges you for what you really bought. So to answer your questions, like, yeah, if you walked elsewhere, the lines were a little bit long, Trey. It was a little bit they had some long lines. I mean, it wasn't horrible. Like, you probably missed like an inning, Trey, roughly. So to answer your question, depends on where you go, what kind of tickets you get. Like, obviously, we got really good tickets last year when we went, and we could just walk into that. I don't know what it was. It was like Amazon, like it was owned by Amazon, I believe, and they just took whatever photos from the sky. It was wild, Trey.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounds wild. I mean, it's like what they say: the eye in the sky don't lie, and Big Brother's always watching. Apparently, even when you're at a Mariner game and it watches you buy whatever. But I think that that's a pretty good thing. I guess it helps to streamline the process, so to speak. And going off of that, what would you say? Because obviously, I know you're a huge baseball guy, but talking strictly live, and what would you say is the best sport to watch live, in your opinion?
Man, that is a really good question. Um, to answer it, I think they're all fantastic, Trey. Like I said, my first love is baseball, right? My first love is baseball. But I mean, I've been to college basketball where the scene, the crowd was wild. I've been to college football games where the crowd was amazing. I mean, NFL football game with the Seahawks, the crowd was amazing. Like when we went to the USC WSU game a couple years ago, my brother's a USC fan. Obviously, I'm a WSU fan. For our buddy's bachelor party, we were sitting on like basically on field level, and to just honestly, to even like armchair people, when I say this, armchair people that think they could be as good as the people they watch, or not, or I mean, as good as the people, but they think they could do better or be as good. You have no idea how wrong you are. I mean, we went and watched a USC guy. He ended up the wide receiver ended up getting drafted. I can't remember where, but like he got drafted last year, I believe. I mean, that man was like a physical freak. Like they tried double teaming him at times, and he'd catch it and drag him into the end zone. His speed was phenomenal, and even guys that aren't making the NFL, Trey, their speed and athleticism and strength make us look silly. And I'm not talking about you and I. I'm talking about people in general. Like, well, obviously me included, but I don't think I'm better than these athletes. We're not even D1 athletes. Like all these people that act like they could do as good as like a baseball player. That was 98 miles an hour. You should have turned on and crushed it. I mean, that person saying that probably can't hit a 60-mile-per-hour baseball. So I mean, so for me, for to answer your question, like, what is the best sporting event like that I've been to? Like, it, I've had some fantastic games from different sports. Like, if I want to chill, I'll go to like the Spokane Indians game. That's chill. Like, I'm not as invested. The Spokane here, Trey. Here's another one I just remembered. Spokane Chiefs, WHL hockey, fantastic crowd. One of the best minor league teams that you could go watch and get a full packed house. And when it's playoff time, I mean, there's a vibe in there that matches no other Trey. So honestly, I'm a huge sports fan, so maybe that plays a part of it, but they're all phenomenal in their own way.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So speaking of, you brought up the Spokane Indians, Spokane Chiefs. Shout out to them. Going to a hockey game sounds fun. That's something that I'll definitely have to check out. And I'm curious. Like, so talking about the Spokane and the Seattle. Do you think it's fair to say that the audience around that area? Do you think they're pretty supportive in their teams? Because I know that there's a lot of markets out there that are pretty casual when it comes to their teams. Like, for example, I was watching an interview with Tommy Harris. Tommy Harris played for the Bears. And then he went to play with the Chargers, and he was saying how invested the Bears fans were opposed to the Charger fans back then, and the Charger fans were just kind of, whatever, didn't really matter. So on that level, do you think that the Seattle/Spokane fans are pretty supportive when it comes, when it comes to sports and whatnot?
Trey, that's a really good question. For me, like for a minor league team, like if you like they're minor league. I mean, yes, the WHL gets NHL players. Like I'm drawing a blank on him right now, but the Spokane Chiefs had a guy get drafted by the Seattle Kraken this year. He was a stud, amazing, and they showed out. Like the Spokane area, like I give credit, we show out, especially to like the Spokane Indians and Spokane Chiefs. Like I said, I don't go to many Spokane Indian games. It's too hot for me. Like you said about the heat, I'm not a huge fan about it, about the being in the heat, I guess, because I love baseball, but I mean they're all bleacher seats, and unless you're spending tons of money, it's too hot. But no, they really show out. I actually think that the Spokane fans shine really bright. I think the Seattle fans shine bright too. Like when they have somebody to root for and a team to win for. I was a little disappointed like last couple of years where they're selling it to the 49er fans. So like because I would never do that, and I'm being honest. I'd make sure it was a Seattle fan. But yeah, that's where I'm at. And what's up, Trey Jr.? Trey Jr. in the building. Wow. Hey, there's two Treys battling out, but Trey, you are the junior. Trey in the podcast is the senior. Just how the rules go, baby. How you doing though, bro? But yeah, Trey. Just to answer your question, I think Spokane really shines. If you haven't been to a Spokane Chiefs game, you definitely have to go, especially if they're playing like Tri Cities. Tri Cities is a rival, and usually there's fights, and it's just wild to be there. So I give a lot of credit to the Spokane fan base.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So, yeah, shout out to the Spokane guys. It's always good when you show out, support your local teams. Like Shane said, even if they're minor league, players get drafted, and some of them go on to do big things later on, and you could be the guy that when they see it, be like, hey, I remember that guy. Kind of like Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was in Eastern Washington, and he ended up winning a Super Bowl. So that's always a cool thing. So we're talking about concerts and not concerts, events, and sporting events and etc. It's a really good conversation. I know Shane's pretty excited to get to watch another baseball game and go to Seattle. and all that. So, talking about Seattle specifically, though, are there any restaurants or any other, I guess, tourist activities that if someone in this podcast were to ever go to Seattle, that you would recommend them checking out?
I'm sorry, say that again. I cut out. I couldn't hear the last part. Are you there,
Right
Trey?
there, Trent. Yeah, I'm good. Sorry. Yeah, I was just asking, what are some other tourist activities and restaurants and things like that? Like, are you a fan of the Space Needle, for example? And what are some, I guess, good restaurants for people to check out if they find themselves in Seattle?
Perfect. Okay, my apologies on that. It kind of cracked out on me just for a second. Honestly, Seattle's fun, man. Pike Street Market, awesome place. If you've never been down there, go see it. Go see them toss the fish. It's pretty legit. They have farmers market. It's pretty cool. You can pick up like some cheap fruit that's amazing, but for a great price because obviously they're selling it really really cheap because they grow it and it's just right out in front. There's no middleman. There's the aquariums you can go check out if you have money. Go get clam chowder at Ivar's. Go walk around by the ocean. I mean, it's really cool and it's really chill. Like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to do, a lot of walking. I mean, so you'll probably be tired, especially if you're walking. The Space Needle, honestly, is really cool. I've been up there a couple times. Not my favorite because of the height. I'm not a fan of height. Um, but no, there's really cool stuff to do. Like obviously, if you're there in the winter and want to go see the Seahawks, or if you're in the spring and summer, it's the Mariners. But no, there's a lot of cool stuff to see. There's if you're in them for art exhibits, there's tons of art exhibits. I mean, I'm so on that. But like a lot of cool different foods you can check out. Cheaper prices on certain areas for seafood because obviously they're by the ocean. But no, people need to go check out the aquariums they have there. It's really, really cool, Trey. I don't know if you've ever seen it one. Like, if you've been to an aquarium, what's your thoughts on the aquarium and whatnot?
Yeah, no, I actually have not been to an aquarium. I did see something interesting about Vanilla Ice, and Vanilla Ice has the construction show. I think it's Vanilla Ice Project, I believe, and he was saying about how they were doing one dude's house. I don't know if it was his house or whatever, but they actually found a way to like have like a staircase, and in the staircase was like actual fish. So it's like you're literally walking upstairs, and and you see like fish and all that. It's wild. I could only imagine how much of a pain in the ass that would be to like feed them and how all that stuff were to work. But nah, I mean I'd definitely be down to go to an aquarium though for sure. So talking about other events and all that on the concert side, because I know you've been to a few concert. I know you saw Lil Wayne, Snoop Dogg, and all that, and you shared some pretty funny experiences from that. Are there like what would you say is the best concert you have been to?
The best concert I have been to, like it is still. I think it was a Tacoma Dome or like or no, not that it was in Aberdeen, so it wasn't Tacoma. I don't remember what it's called. I think it's in Aberdeen. Um, No, Little Wayne was the sickest guy I've watched, honestly. And then Rick Ross was really good back in his heyday. Like I'm talking about Rick Ross when he came out and he was like popular as F. Um, Carrie Hilson was there; she did really well. But like hands down, Trey, Little Wayne was the best. Um, Bone Thugs and Harmony at the Knitting Factory was really really good. The only one that I kind of disliked, and I'm just gonna be honest, is Snoop Dogg when he didn't come out and he turned the lights on because he was taking so long to come out. The whole vibe was dead on that. But I like it was not that great, man. Like the Snoop Dogg one. Like when he came out, he did really well, but after that, um, it was whatever. Like I think that was the worst concert I've been to. The best one, like I said, was the Lil Wayne one in Aberdeen with Rick Ross and Kerry Hilson. Uh, have you ever seen Lil Wayne live, Trey?
You know I haven't, and it's funny because I actually texted you that one time that Lil Wayne was coming through Spokane. It was like, I don't know, a month ago or whatever. And you know, I was definitely down. He came to the Spokane Arena, and I was down to go, but didn't end up going because it was probably on like a weekday or something. I don't remember, but no, that would be dope for sure to see him. And on the Snoop Dogg side of things, because I think I vaguely remember hearing that whole fiasco go down. What was it, a situation where Snoop Dogg was trying to get more money, or do you think it was more on the venue side of things?
To be fair, it was on the venue. It was the venue issue. Supposedly, they didn't have the money ready for him, and he was like, "F no, I'm not going out there until I get my paper." And I don't know what happened. I don't know if like they couldn't find it or there was a delay on like transferring to his bank account, but like he wanted to get paid, and I understand, like I do. Like I know in the end it's a business. Business is business, because my wife went to the Snoop Dogg concert when he was at Northern Quest and Airway, and I guess he was awesome. They didn't have to wait for anybody, and they killed it. So more or less, I think it was on the venue and them needing to pay up before he came out, and for whatever reason there's a glitch, and the lights turned back on, and people were like it kind of killed the vibe on that area. So like that always stayed in my brain. So unfortunately, it was a Snoop Dogg concert, and yeah, it probably wasn't his fault. I mean, obviously it wasn't, but he still was the artist I went to, unfortunately.
Yeah, no doubt. So you probably knew that this question was coming. I probably don't even have to answer the question, but what is your opinion on the new Eminem album? Did you hear it? Did you like it? What is your opinion on it so far? What?
I haven't heard it. I've been waiting. Honestly, Trey, I've been waiting because like some people said it's amazing, right? Like I've been hearing overall great reviews. Um, I want to hear Renaissance. I believe that's the one. I had the one that I liked was Toby was like I think it was Toby. Toby was meh to me. It was like whatever, but the other one was sick, and I can't remember what it was. I think it was the first single that came out. Trey, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe
It was Houdini.
Houdini. Yes, I like Houdini. Houdini was sick. Toby was whatever to me, but I want to hear Renaissance. If you heard Renaissance, and like I'm pretty sure you have because you're Eminem guru, but like, do you think more like Houdini for me or more like Toby? Like, what's your overall rating of the Eminem CD or Eminem album that came out?
Yeah, no question. So I'm with you. Toby, I wasn't really a fan of. I think that, obviously he has to go and get, the Detroit guys. Big Sean's a Detroit guy. I don't know if Baby Tron is from Detroit, but I'm assumed so. And I just don't think they mesh well, in my opinion. I was hoping we would get, D12 back on the record. I was hoping we'd get some Obi Trice even on the record. The most random feature on the album is when Bizarre came in for like 30 seconds and then he just left, and that was kind of the only flashback of the old crew. But I liked the album overall. I thought that the production was a little bit underwhelming, in my opinion. The Haley song obviously was good. That's one thing that Eminem, probably the most underrated thing about Eminem, is that he hasn't lost his touch on his ability to do the more serious songs. When he does decide to do the serious songs, it always hits, and that's, in my opinion, a hard thing to pull off, and he's pretty consistent in being able to pull it off. And I thought that, I was hoping to see more disses. I was hoping to see more Megan Thee Stallion disses. and all that, because I want to see Eminem just lyrically dismantle somebody. And and then the other thing too, Shane, why do you think it is that Eminem has a problem with Christopher Reeves? I know you're a little bit older than me, so maybe you can elaborate on what he did. But why do you think he has a fixation on Christopher Reeves and all that? What?
Appreciate it, Trey. Appreciate your review, man. That's money. That's money. I definitely am going to try to listen when I have the opportunity. I want to hear the Renaissance because everybody was bragging that up. The whole Christopher Reeve thing is like from what I know. Like I said, I was on an Eminem Reddit where like the people kind of were talking about it, and this person was like, it's basically because he just thought it was funny. he Christopher Reeves was Superman, and then he became paralyzed. So it was like no real issues besides I guess Eminem just thought it was funny that a guy named Superman became paralyzed. Trey.
Yeah, no doubt. So I'm gonna give you my top favorite songs. I liked Houdini, and another song that you should check out when you get the chance is Bad One. I thought Bad One was a really good song, and the other one is hold on, let me pull it up here. Guilty Conscious 2 was it was all right. I don't know. Again, that's another thing. How are you going to have a Guilty Conscience too and not have Dr. Dre like you did on the original one? But that's besides the point. It is Brand New Dance. Brand New Dance kind of has the same song and dance. I don't know if you heard that song off of Relapse back in the day. It has the same sort of vibe on there. But no. Overall, I like the album. And I think the next thing that I want to see personally is either A, he needs to have a biopic about him, like an 8 Mile Part 2, or B, he should step out, and no disrespect to Sway in the morning, but he needs to do an interview. I know he did an interview with Mike Tyson back in the day, but he needs to do an interview with like a podcast style that's going to ask him like hard-hitting questions and all that. So Shane, if you could pick a podcast aside from us, obviously that'd be pretty awesome. But a podcast or an interviewer to interview Eminem, who would you pick in that?
Can it be any interviewer in the world, living or dead, or are we just talking about living? Like I'm going on the whole hypothetical.
Yeah, we can do living or dead. I guess you could pick one of each if you want.
I'm not entirely sure if he's alive or dead, so I'm. But Dan Rathers was really good at interviewing. I like Barbara Walters. I know she's dead, but she would have been really, really good back in the day to get the interviews going. Excuse me. I haven't been following a lot of like maybe if you want to go like funny and like maybe we'll see how it goes because the guy's kind of tool is I think it's Breakfast Club with Charlemagne. Am I correct on that, Trey?
Yeah, you have Charlemagne. Have you seen No Jumper with Adam 22?
Yeah, I have, dude. Oh man, like that is wild, bro. Like I don't know, man. The whole Adam 22, he gets people on and like sometimes he gets fights going and then people talking about how he, like his porn star wife got dick down. Like, I don't know, man. Like, if I was Adam 22, like, props, he made money, he gets tons of money, like, and maybe he's cool with it, but, like, I don't know. His is a wild one. That some are interesting, though, on that. So, I mean, Adam 22 might be a good one. Breakfast Club, I think, would be a really good one as well. Like, Trey, what about you? If you had to pick one for Eminem, who would you have? Living or dead? Living or dead.
All right, so I'm gonna pick DJ Vlad. I know a lot of people don't like DJ Vlad, but DJ Vlad and Eminem have roughly the same experiences in hip hop, and I don't think it would happen because I'm pretty sure Eminem doesn't like DJ Vlad because of the whole Lord Jamar fiasco that happened on DJ Vlad or whatever. But that's who I would pick. And DJ Vlad is honestly the inspiration that wanted me to get into the whole interview thing. So I'd be happy to see that. Shane, what's your opinion on DJ Vlad? And do you think, because he takes credit in being able to solve the whole Tupac assassination, so do you think that is true? Because he did get to interview Keefe D, and that's when he was kind of put out in front of the world, was the interview with Keefe D.
You know, Trey, I like DJ Vlad. I have no problem with him. You're right. I totally forgot about him. I think the other one that I like to listen to is The Art of War. I might be saying that wrong, but I think it's The Art of War. But no, I like DJ Vlad. I have no problem with him. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he just tries to steal and like rip off people, but I don't know why they say that. I haven't heard like any proof. I don't know if people are just mad because he gets everybody on there and he became super popular or whatnot. For the whole Keefe D saga, do I think he solved it? No. Do I think he brought it to the public's attention more? Yes, because he had Keefe D blabbing like Keefe D wasn't being on camera. Like Keefe D was kind of dumb to be honest. Like he moved all right for a while, but like he just blabbed too long. So for me, honestly, like most of people in the streets, most of people, even if they knew something about hip hop, knew that it was the Southside Crips and Keefe D and Orlando Anderson and Andre Dre and all that. But Vlad, I almost said Vlad, but Vlad did do a really good job of bringing it to attention and then also having Keefe D blabbing on there and airing everything out. So, I mean, he does help for maybe the arrest warrant coming out on him. Um, and Vlad getting Keefe D to talk more than he should have. He wasn't safe anymore from saying certain things. So yes, I mean, it depends on how you want to take credit for it. I do think that he brought it to the public's attention more. Oh, and another thing, did you see Eminem's subliminal diss to P Diddy when he said I left out a P for the rapper? That part, SA. Do you know what I'm talking about? And if so, what
And
you
so,
think
what
about
you
that?
think about that? Yeah, no, I did see that. I'm not really too privy on the whole, situation like that. I guess that there was a surveillance footage that came out of, P Diddy where he essentially harassed or assaulted um, uh, a woman, and I guess the whole bar was something to the effect of I left out P and did he. So it was like a play on words, how Eminem does with that. And also there was Shane. I don't know if you heard this, but there was also they're saying a subliminal shot towards Jay Z in it. So what is your thoughts on Jay Z? Do you think that he is top five, and do you think that Nas was right that Eminem killed him on the Renegade record?
So I'm gonna go twofold on this. So part one is the whole P Diddy thing. The girl that he beat was Cassie, which was his girlfriend. Basically, he beat her up. He sexually assaulted her. He would force her to have sex with other people. He would force two girls to have sex and masturbate. I'm gonna use that without using the derogatory term masturbate. That's a correct term while doing it. I guess he was just kind of dirty. Like, I mean, sexual assault and beating his girls and like forcing them to do sex acts on him and other people when they didn't want to. And that all is starting to come to light. Um, to answer your other one, I thought Eminem and Jay Z killed it in that song. And I'm not a huge Jay Z fan, but I think Eminem definitely was way better on that. I think that was like Eminem's like top peak. If you want to know my point of the matter and what I feel is that I think Eminem was better on that song. And nothing against it. It's like It's like I listen to this guy. He's really, really starting to get popular. He does like reactions to songs, and he was a huge East Coast guy, right? He's around my age. He was basically like F Tupac, F Death Row, F the West Coast. It's all about Biggie. It's all about Bad Boy. Well, anyways, within the last couple of years, um, he has been reviewing Tupac songs, and long story short, he said basically every artist that jumped on the song with Tupac seemed way worse, and it's just because Tupac's that great in his opinion, and he was saying that as an East Coast guy, and that's what I feel like Eminem. Like when Eminem was like top to the notch, top peak, he made other people sound way worse than they really were. And like for me, Jay Z's not top five for me. Like, but I mean, I have a wild list. Like, I mean, you could ask me today, you could ask me a month ago, and a couple of them might switch. But top five, like, there's like two that I'll never switch out, and you can put it however you want to. But like Tupac, Eminem, they aren't gonna leave, right? They aren't gonna leave my top five ever. I really like DMX. Little Wayne is really, really good for me. And then like you can switch out like who I'm feeling that day. Like, it's so for me it's like I'm not a huge fan of Biggie at all. Like I feel like Biggie has a couple good songs for me, for my liking, but I know he's top five overall, so like shouldn't he be in the top five? Nas is pretty good. Nas has a couple good songs, but again, the only real New Yorker that I like, really, really was like, yo, I like him is DMX. So, like I said, it's really hard, but like two of them for sure that will always stay as Eminem and Tupac.
Yeah, no doubt. To me, it's Eminem, and I think Nas. I think Nas is probably the only one that can compete with M on a lyrical level. And when I say that, I'm not really saying like ever, but when you take into account record sales, and yes, record sales matter when you're talking about, top five in my opinion. So it's like, and like, because that's the one thing that all the stands would say is like, oh, I didn't know who this guy was until Eminem talked about him. But with Nas, for example, you can't really say that because a lot of people will say that Illmatic is the best rap album of all time. So I think Nas, if Nas and Eminem got into it back in the day, I think it would have been a more tight battle towards that. And so you're talking about top 50 and all this. I did see something else, and I want to get your take on. But where are you at with female rappers, for example? Because Nicki Minaj was in, I think it was Rolling Stone or one of the major publications. She was in the top 10. I don't know if I would have her in the top 10, but I think, top 50, I think that she should be in it. So what's your take on that?
You know, Obviously, I feel like there's less women rappers, and maybe I'm just dumb or I don't notice. So if there's way more female rappers, I apologize. But like you had some good ones like back in the day. Like I know, and I'm going way back in the day for some of you. Queen Latifah was really good for her era. She has to be one of the pioneers, right? She has to be one of the pioneers on there. MC Light. Um, but for me, like even though she was part of Bad Boy, Little Kim was fire to me. Little Kim was as good as Nicki Minaj. Okay, to my opinion, in my opinion, I feel like if Little Kim would have came out when Nicki did, I think people would have had her on that list. Like, I think Little Kim is as good as Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is really, really good. She has some great music. So, like, for me, I would say probably like top 25 for Nicki, maybe top 30, but like, I think Little Kim has to be on there. I feel like maybe Queen Latifah, if we're being honest. And I know it's a whole different, generation, different sales, different, movement, online sales. Like it's all different. But like Little Kim was really, really good. Like, and I think that if she came out now, like when Nicki did, or whenever Nicki did, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, she would have been everybody's go-to chick for bad bitches. And I'm using what she says. Okay, I'm not saying women. I'm saying what Little Kim called herself, a bad bitch, or like Nicki Minaj. Uh, I just think that she was really, really good, and she was part of Bad Boy, and like I wasn't really cool with Bad Boy and all that whole thing because yeah, I was young and dumb, but like I feel like Little Kim was really, really good, Trey.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt, and like who in your opinion, like so obviously you would take you'd probably being a West Coast guy, you'd probably take NWA over the Wu-Tang Clan, like. So, like, what is your opinion on the Wu-Tang Clan in general? Are they someone that you ever got into, really, or to them were you just kind of like whatever towards them?
You know, they might have came before, like maybe they were super popular before like my time, Trey. Like I didn't have a problem with them. Like I know it was Method Man and Redman, I believe in it, with a couple others, correct?
Yeah, you had Method Man, you had the RZA, Ghostface Killa, and all them guys, Inspector Deck, and all that.
Okay, yeah, and I think one of their songs was Cream. That was, I believe so, right? Cream.
Yeah, cash rules everything around me. Get the
Yeah,
money.
I mean
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that is a legit song, bro. That was one of the best songs out there. And it's weird because like, you know, NWA was really cool, but like even then they were like a little before my time. Like I would take Bone Thugs and Harmony over NWA and Wu Tang, but it's probably because I listened to Bone Thugs more and maybe they're getting more and more popular, you know, like the Crossroads and all of that. But like, nah, I mean, I didn't specifically like ignore the Wu Tang at all because they're from the East Coast. It's just, I just think maybe I didn't know much about them besides, you know, Cream and whatnot. But nah, it wasn't anything because of West Coast or East Coast.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. So you know we're talking about the Wu Tang Clan and groups and all that. So like for Eminem, for example, do you think you prefer the more D12 when he was with D12, or like you know Roy when he was with Royce the 5'9" and he was doing that, or you also have Slaughterhouse with Joe Bud and all them guys. Which of those would you say is your favorite when Eminem was with like a crew member?
I mean, Royce was really good. Royce was really good. But D12 was cool, man. Like, I mean, some of the songs, I mean, I probably would pick D12 out of everyone just cuz. But honestly, I like Bizarre. Proof was one of my favorites out of the group, though. And damn, I don't know if it was Obi or not, but one guy was really killing it. But like Bizarre is pretty good if you want just to chill and laugh about it. He has some couple like serious songs that I vibe with. But yeah, so I'd probably go with D12. Trey, what about you?
Yeah, I'm definitely going D12. I mean, you had Proof, you had Bizarre. Like, I know a lot of people think Bizarre's the worst rapper of all time, but, you know, like you said, as long as you don't take him seriously, I think he's cool. And, you know, I think the cool thing about Bizarre is that, you know, Bizarre was actually Eminem's first call when he, you know, was starting to blow up. He called Bizarre, and Bizarre quit his job at the hospital that day. So, you know, if Eminem thinks that Bizarre is good enough, then, you know, that works for me. And also, they were pretty close. But, you know, like, going back to the whole feuds and things, like, you know, you had the Machine Gun Kelly feud, and then you had a few others, like the Cannabis, when they were kind of going back and forth. Like, do you think that, I don't know if you heard, like, the whole feuds that are going on, but do you think that there was ever, you know, a song or like a beef that Eminem took an L on, or do you think he's pretty much undefeated at this point?
You know, I think Eminem just basically handles people just from a lyrical standpoint and play of words and you know all that stuff. Like I mean, I did like. I'm gonna be honest. I actually really liked Machine Gun Kelly's diss to him. I mean, obviously, I thought Eminem beat him, but Machine Gun Kelly's diss was legit. Like, it was pretty good. Cannabis, it was, I don't know. Like, I mean, that was before like Eminem truly blew up. Like, I wasn't around his first album, which was like the Underground Scene one that Eminem put out. I can't remember it right now. Um, But no, I think that Eminem's basically undefeated right now. I think that's why like certain people like the Game said you don't want to mess with him like from a lyrical standpoint, and then Game later on switched it up. But that was to probably get like album sales because Game was kind of falling off at that time for popularity. But like in his heyday, he was like, yeah, Eminem was too tough to battle with. You don't really want to mess with him, and most rappers didn't like. Think about all these rappers out there that are dissing people, and they really don't. They don't really diss Eminem that much. So I don't know, man. What's your opinion? I feel like he did really good.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it for sure. That, rappers don't go out there, but it kind of makes you think because, on the flip side, you can say the thing with Eminem is like, he spends all this time, going after, pop stars and actors and all that. And he doesn't really, really test himself against, people that can actually get together and fight back. So, that's one thing on the flip side of things, but, I understand where you're coming from on that one. So you talk about the Game and all that. Would you say you're more of a 50 Cent kind of guy? What's your whole takeaway from the Game versus 50 Cent feud? Because obviously you had a lot of one person died. Jimmy Henchman, I think, was the Game's manager that ended up passing away on that. So what do you think about that whole thing?
For me, I like both of them. And I knew they wouldn't work out because of egos. I think they had two huge egos, and I think that they knew they weren't just going to work together. It's two like I want to be the boss, I want to be the boss, and I knew that would break up. Like, oh, 50 Cent's another one. Like he's a New Yorker, and I like most of his songs. I mean, obviously, Get Rich or Die Trying was my favorite by far of his albums that came out. The game had a good couple, like one really good album, couple great songs, obviously. I think Jimmy Henchman's still alive, Trey, because that's the guy that set up Tupac shooting. Like he was like the New York kingpin, right? I think it was like Primo's friend or something like that. I know that 50 Cent definitely wasn't afraid of the New York mob like Primo and Supreme and Griffin and all of them. Like, that was wild. But, you know, another guy actually that I was thinking about now that we're bringing up because you're making my brain like think of things. Ja Rule, man. Ja Rule was dope to me. Like, I feel like people turned on Ja Rule because not so much 50 Cent, more Eminem jumped in on that beef, and Eminem was super, super, super popular at that time. And yes, I think it was around the Get Rich or Die Trying, so 50 Cent definitely helped. But I think if Ja Rule was friends with Eminem, it would have been the other way around. Like, what's your take on that? Do you believe that if Ja Rule was friends with Eminem and Slim Slim Shady Records and Dr. Dre, that 50 Cent would have been the outside looking in? Or do you think 50 Cent would have been able to hit back enough where 50 Cent would have still been hella popular?
Yeah, no, I think that the whole thing with Ja Rule, at least on the Eminem side, because Eminem is the one that signed 50, and I think Eminem is one of those guys where it's like if he's with you, then he's with you. So I think that was just a product, even though he actually did throw out like a little jab towards Ja Rule in the latest album. Actually, so I think overall it's just a product of Eminem and 50 were tight. They've been tight for 20 years. Even so, they're always seen together and all that. So I just think that that's kind of what it was. I never really got into Ja Rule. Like Ja Rule to me was kind of like a Tupac ripoff. Like he tried to copy even the whole flow and like how Tupac would say stuff and all that, and that's really what got like the Hail Mary diss track with when Eminem, Busta Rhymes, and 50 Cent got on and basically dissed Ja Rule for being a Tupac, wannabe on that song. I think that's what it was. But you said you liked Ja Rule, so you didn't really feel like that too much per se.
I do understand where they're like, like they were saying Ja Rule is a Tupac knockoff. I just vibe with like Ja Rule's like delivery and his voice. Like I'm big into like the voice and the delivery. Like I'm not somebody like look, I'll be honest. Like I'll be really really honest from like breaking down like a how does Shane like rap voice or I mean no, I'll take that back. Storytelling, but real storytelling, okay? Real storytelling. Then voice, then delivery and flow. I'm not really, and then lyrical is the last one. I'm not really like about the whole lyrical thing. Like great. So I'm giving you a synonym while I'm eating a cinnamon bun. Like cool. Like you can do that. Like I'm impressed with that. But I'd rather hear like real stories of your life, right? Like Tupac's Dear Mama, or like shoot, how about Eminem's Mockingbird? I vibed with Mockingbird and I vibed with Headlights by Eminem more than anything. The only thing that I disliked about Headlights, where I thought it was an A plus song, is where he had to make it a joke at the end about the plane's gonna go down, it's crashing. Like I would have hoped that I wish that he didn't do that at the end, but like that's just my opinion. But like I said, number one is storytelling for me. And then if you even want to be like equal for me, your delivery and your voice. Like lyrics aren't the most important, but like being super lyrical for me isn't the most important thing. Like when you break down rap, Trey, like are you like he has to be super lyrical like a Biggie or Eminem, or are you more into the storytelling?
Yeah, so I'm actually gonna flip the role on you because this is something that I've been kind of, thinking about, and it's interesting. But, Eminem, he gets the whole reputation of being the king of lyrics, the whole lyrical miracle, fast rap, that type of thing. But, like, back in the day, like, when you were coming up, like, his first three albums from, like, 99 to 2002, what was the whole reputation? Because I feel like, back then he was just seen as like a great rapper. Like, did people back then even think of Eminem as kind of like, he can rhyme masturbator and elevator and that sort of thing, or was it just more like the whole Slim Shady persona was taken back? Was that more of the perception of him back then?
Um, Say that again. I'm trying to understand. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure
Trying to
out.
figure out. Yeah, no, you're good. But I'm saying like when Eminem was coming up, the Marshall Mathers LP, the Eminem Show, Slim Shady LP, those, first three albums, I get the feeling that he wasn't like in those albums, he wasn't like super lyrical miracle, and he didn't really have, the whole like Godzilla rap god type of flow that he kind of has now. So I'm asking you, like, did you get the vibe back then that he was still all about lyrics, or do you think it was more of his like controversial and like punchlines and things like that is what he was known for back then?
Okay, perfect. I thought that's what you were meaning. Sorry, I just wanted to like clarify that's what you meant. Um, no, see, like, okay, so like when I was in high school, that's when he blew up, right? Like that's when he really, really, really blew up. And I mean, everybody was like, his punchlines are funny, he's funny, and he's lyrical. So to me, I felt like he was lyrical, but I also thought that like he was just like I don't want to try to make it sound bad, but like I felt like he was a goofball because in that time I was more serious rap, okay? Like I was more like Tupac and like Snoop and like DMX, right? So like I was more into the serious rap. I thought he was more goofy, like not in a bad way. So like not in a bad way. Being called saying you're goofy is not always a bad way. It's how you say it. Like I thought he was goofy. Like I thought he'd make funny jokes and like I almost felt like I didn't take him serious, right? But from everyone that I went to school with that was into rap, they were on his nuts. Okay, they thought he was like Jesus had descended from the heavens. Like it was wild. They were already like first year in, bro. He's a goat of rap. Like he's so funny. His punchlines, he'd destroy anyone lyrically. So from an outside observer where I was just like watching other people, I think people thought it was all rolled into one to answer your question, Trey. Like he was lyrical, he was funny, he was a storyteller, he was goofy. That's where. So yes, I think it was all rolled into one.
Yeah, no, it's rolled into one, and this is actually a great conversation. So I appreciate you because I'm always kind of curious about because like I kind of listen to more music that's from the early 2000s than that. So like hearing you describe what people thought of him, what was their reaction, is like really interesting to me. But kind of going off of that, you said that he was viewed as kind of a goofball, and a lot of it was pretty tongue in cheek. So do you think like like the whole controversy that he caused and all that, do you think that, at least from what you saw, like, were people, like, not really taking him too serious, or were there some people, older people then that were saying that Eminem is, like, the second coming of, Hitler or anything like that, or do you think it was just kind of overblown from back then?
You know, perfect question, Trey. Like for me, it's wild because the people that I grew up with that were like the parents, the parents that I knew, like I ran with a different kind of crowd. I'll just say that. So like they listened to rap, and back then it was more crazy, honestly, for your parents or like people adults listening to rap, and like it depends on who you thought. Like the old school would be like Tupac was better, or like um, even Biggie was better, or whoever else at that time. Because like we were saying, we're talking about early 2000s. So I mean, Biggie and Tupac had barely been dead for less than 5 years. Um, no, it was basically like I mean nobody like people got offended at times. Like that's why there was Elton John and Eminem singing that song together, or performing on that stage, and they hugged each other, and the whole world was like, "Oh, it's okay." Do I think that you could get away with saying a lot worse crap back in the day when I was growing up than nowadays? Yes, and some for the better and some for the worse. I mean, we had that conversation last time about bullying and not bullying. Um, but no, I just think that people thought he was like I mean he like I said in my school he was like goat status for 90% of the people I hung out with that listened to rap. I had a few people who were really into Jay Z, and then honestly, obviously, I was like the major Tupac fan. But nah, it was really like most people who were into rap back then, bro, were all about Eminem and all about his style, and he would destroy any rapper, and nobody wants it with him. And yes, there was some people who were like, "Damn, he's picking on Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera," and I think it was Moby. But so yeah, some people did think that was kind of weak. The very few thought it was kind of weak that he was like dumping on like two teenage girls around that time, and like Moby, who's not tough at all, and Triumph. I don't remember when Triumph came, but it was like around that time. But I was hanging out, I was still hanging out. I was still hanging out on at nighttime. I'll just leave it at that. But I don't know, man. I think back then, even back then, Eminem was like probably like as big as you could imagine, Trey. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, no, he was big. He was big as you can imagine, and like you said, and that was actually going to be my next question about the whole Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. So, back then you had NSYNC and I think the Backstreet Boys from the early 2000s. I guess on more of the pop side of things, and like were they popular, back then, and what was your whole take on them, and were people like, fans of them back then, and also, the whole Elton John homophobic thing, like, because I just get the vibe that, like, saying certain words that are frowned upon now, but I think back in the 90s they were kind of, just, thrown around like every other word, and people didn't really associate that word with homophobic per se. So, is that correct in assuming that?
Trey, yes. And don't get me wrong, bro. Like, so certain words, and I'm not gonna say, but you can imagine, um, were just like joking or being dumb with your friends. But I can understand, honestly, on the other end, like, my feelings get hurt. Like, if I'm a homosexual and somebody's calling me a slur and people think it's a joke and making fun of me, I could feel myself like get defensive or headbutt you in your face. I mean, so I understand where it comes, because then, like, where are you drawing the line, right? But at the same time, everything shouldn't be like so rigid, if you know what I mean. So I mean, yes, like some things are better, like fixing things, like obviously, like look at the 1960s to now, much better for everyone to live in overall for everyone. No, back in the day, NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, they were super popular, but and I mean, I remember like girls loving them. But like I started to get like one of the bands that was super popular. I remember around that time was, I believe it was Green Day. I believe people were like rocking out with Green Day. I believe I could be throwing my time, but I don't think so. I think it was like middle school. They were popular with like a couple songs, and then at parties we'd go to, in like, oh, I think it was '04. They had the super popular album, but like, I mean, I was pop bro. I was around when, have you ever heard of the Hanson brothers, Trey?
No, I haven't, but I'll have to look them up afterwards.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you this, bro. They had one like famous song, right? One famous song, and I thought they were girls. I'm not gonna lie, I thought they were females. So again, but that it was bop, bop. It was like that. Just look up bop, okay? Look up bop. So they blew up for a while. Jewel was super popular. I don't know if you've heard of Jewel, but like she was hella popular back then. So, you know, and then like one person who was like famous for one reason only. I don't know if they still play her at graduations. I doubt it. But I don't know if you've heard of Vitamin C. She had the graduation song where everybody was playing it between 2000 and 2008, I believe. I don't know if she's still really popular to play now, but like it's funny how certain people get super popular for, just one song, and it's played for years.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think that that's kind of how it works for like 90% of people. They kind of get their 15 minutes of fame, kind of like how a certain someone in this podcast kind of got their got their 15 minutes of fame, and then left. But no. So I guess going back to the whole thing, and like the thing that I'm curious about is like, so like like those words or whatever, like we're kind of thrown out like Lucy or whatever, but like Eminem in particular, like why do you think like it was like such a big deal and people made such a big deal out of it when he was doing it? Do you think it was because he was like so popular, or like, why do you think with him is like why he got all the hate for it?
I think that people were starting to change their ways on how they were thinking, and I think that he brought things more mainstream than um, what was realized at the time, right? And honestly, I also think it was because it was a white popular rapper, and more people, more like I think Eminem even said it, where like got more high school girls listening to me and whatnot. So I think that's what it was. What I mean, other than that, I'm not entirely sure. Like besides maybe just his popularity with high schoolers and whatnot.
Yeah, no, I got you. So I guess that brings me to probably the most controversial question. This is something that Eminem's dealt with and probably will continue to deal with it. But do you buy into the whole, he only got to where he is because he's white, or not even like the only reason? Because I think even obviously that's probably not the only reason. But I'm just gonna say, do you think that played a factor in it in a way?
I do think it played a factor, to be honest. Do I think he's really, really good? Yes, and that helped immensely. But at the same time, I do believe his skin color did make a play for it. I mean, and that's why, because honestly, bro, like just going off of his popularity when I was in high school, I didn't know many. Here, I'll say this: many female girls listening to rap at all, except a couple of them that I was cool with. But when Eminem started blowing up even more, even those girls were listening to him in their in there with their CDs, and like even some of the dudes that didn't listen to rap thought Eminem was great. So I do think it does help make a play because people that look like you helps you, and at the same time you have to be really really good, right? So I'm not taking anything away from his talent and his skill and everything, but it does help to be marketable when people see somebody that looks like you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm definitely with you on that. I pretty much agree with everything that you said. Like, it's definitely not the only factor, but I think it definitely did. Especially early on, kind of help him get over with the white people and all that. So I guess going off of that, what's your whole takeaway on the whole Benzino thing and like the whole Source magazine and that whole fear? Because that one was pretty crazy. So I just want you to know, Benzino released the racist tapes that Eminem he said he made when he was like 15 or whatever. So I just want to know if you had any opinions on that whole thing or if you knew much about it. Yeah.
I felt like Benzino was jealous. That's where I stand with him. I think he was super jealous. I think something went on even more so that we don't know about. Like he either got turned down by Eminem to make a song or something, but like I feel like I don't know when I listen to Benzino, I just feel like it reeks of it reeks of jealousy and envy, and that's like with Benzino, like I don't know, bro. Like at the same time, I feel like a lot of jealousy. I think it was a lot of jealousy by Benzino, and I'll stick with that.
Yeah, no, real simple and plain. That is definitely it. He started off as being a journalist, and maybe if he would have just released the tapes and he would have stayed a journalist, then maybe the whole racist tape thing would have more credibility towards it. But I think he ruined it the moment he decided he was going to be a rapper and do a diss track. And I think because of that, the whole racist tape is a big nothing burger to me, is because of Benzino. And it's like even the people that try to go against Eminem with the whole race thing, they don't even bring up Benzino. And it's like, well, he's the one that kind of started that whole thing. But so Shane, you graduated in 2003. Am I correct on that?
2002. I was in
2002.
yeah
Yeah,
2002.
2002.
2002, gotcha. So, I believe Get Rich or Die Trying came out in 2003. So that was like, peak years for you.
Oh yeah, 50 Cent was sick. You want to know something crazy though? Is I think it was Kanye West's first album. I think it was Graduation or no College. Was it College Graduation? His first album, where the bear was
Where the
on the
bear was
cover.
on the cover.
Yeah, I think College Dropout came out before Graduation. I'm pretty sure.
Damn, which one was it? Hold on, I'm gonna look it up because I want to be sure on this. Like, I was one of the few people in my area that was bumping Kanye's first album. Kanye West's first album. Oh yeah, it's a College Dropout. Okay, yep. So, like, man, see, I thought Kanye West had such a sick first album, bro. Like, All Falls Down was amazing. Jesus Walks, I loved it. Slow Jams with Jamie Foxx and Twista. I mean, goodness gracious, he had Through the Wire. I'm telling you, like, that was one of the best first albums to drop out there. And then obviously Get Rich or Die Trying by 50 Cent was pretty much amazing. Um, so did you mess with Kanye West at all? And did you ever listen to his first album from start to finish?
Yeah, no, so I definitely listened to a few of Kanye's songs. Jesus Walks is one of my favorites still to this day. A song that always gets me into the right mood. I could be having a down day and I put on Good Life featuring T-Pain, and that song comes on, and even Amazing with Jeezy that came out a little bit later. So yeah, he definitely had a few good songs, and a lot of people still like him. I know, nowadays it's probably not politically correct to say that you like Kanye, but I think that there's no question about it that Kanye is definitely one of the greatest. And also as a producer, he produced a lot of, songs that people don't know about as well. No.
Trey, it's wild though, on the flip, like, okay, so somebody's got a mental disorder, right? Doesn't make excuses for them, but people should be a little bit more understanding. And like, that's the whole thing with like Kanye. People are like, he's crazy. Well, he's bipolar, and if he's not taking his medicine, kind of like Mike Tyson. But you should be more understanding. I just think sometimes people need to be understanding. Not saying that Kanye West is perfect. Like, he says some dumb crap. Like, honestly, he's egotistical and he says some dumb crap. But like, you can't downplay how good of a rapper he was, and like you said, producer. And oh, to talk about the whole Eminem, like, like racist lyrics and all that. I think most people actually give you a pass if you do it one time. Excuse me, if you do it one time and then like apologize and nobody hears about it again. Like, I mean, Mike Tyson, he was one of the most hated men in the 90s, right? Look at how he's recovered. You got some Madden players, I won't say who, said some wild stuff and they got it moved past them, right? You got Tupac in the 90s. A lot of people had an issue with what he did, and then now he's become like almost like folklore. So I mean, I just think that if you do something once, a lot of people, especially if you apologize or it's like murky if they did it or did not, and but then you don't hear anything else from it, I think that people give you a pass, you know what I mean, to grow.
Yeah, people give him a pass, and that's one thing. Some people can, hear the racist tapes that Eminem did and say, F it, and that's cool. That's their prerogative. If they feel one way or another. Me personally, the way that I look at it is like, you have a guy that grew up in Missouri. I know he obviously Detroit or whatever, but he grew up in Missouri. He was around, grew up in trailer parks and stuff like that. And it's like at the same time, when you take into account of all that, it's not really too surprising to me that he said, now it doesn't make it right, that he did say it, but, people only know what they know and don't know what they don't know. Like if someone's only exposed to one race and that's kind of all they're related to, then they might not, be educated enough to look at things, the same way. Like American History X, if you haven't seen that movie, check it out. I think that is one of my favorite movies because that kind of proves my point on how someone can be ignorant but then end up changing their ways once they, experience stuff a little bit more.
American History X was fire though. That was one of the best movies, bro. Like that was a crazy movie. Yes, what the whole story, a pretty legit, Trey.
Yeah, no, pretty legit for sure. Um, so yeah, we got onto an extended, music, and I loved, the conversations and all that going into music and stuff like that. On the whole sports, media side and the whole Madden thing has been kind of, a little bit of the dead. They did come out with they come out with some more NCAA, which NCAA is, or college football rather, is dropping on Friday. I think it's coming out Wednesday on early access. I know Shane, he's taking the year off of college football. Maybe he'll return next year, or maybe he'll, check it out sometime later down the road. But as of right now, I believe he's kind of taking a break from the whole college football fiasco. But so Shane, where are you at right now? Like, how excited are you on the whole Madden, feature that we're going to be coming up here in about a month?
I can't wait, Trey. Like honestly, I cannot wait. I'm really excited. Like me I feel like make some good money from it. The money games are gonna be legit. Like I think from where we are in about a month, it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be busy. It's gonna be really fun. I mean, I'm really excited, Trey. Like I think that there'll be big things happening for us in Madden 25.
Oh yeah, no doubt. We're going to continue to grow. Shane's got the money games, and that's going to be awesome. You might see a little bit of toxicity. Things get pretty heated, but just remember that it's really all in good fun. At the end of the day, we just like to get in there and stream Madden and have a good time. But sometimes things get cheated. And the one thing too, Shane, is like playing with a hurt thumb is miserable and all that. Like what would you say? Like, was there ever a time where you played Madden and you were happy? Because I was thinking about that the other day. It's like I don't know if I was ever really happy playing Madden, but I still do it anyway.
You know, honestly, Trey, like I've had some fun. Like, dude, when I was making that buttload of money, it was really fun. But like then when people were blocking my games or I couldn't get games on the last year, it was tough. Probably one of my favorite years is when you could do the leaderboards and play as much as you could to try to qualify for the tournaments, but you could play all day. And you and I would party up sometimes, or I'd stream all day, and we'd hang out and like you'd be in the stream and we'd be chatting, and other people would be watching. Like those were really fun. Like I do feel like it's not as like exciting, I guess to say, when I couldn't do money games, and then only on a certain weekend could you grind for the tournaments. Um, so for me, like, yeah, the funnest times were back in the day when you could qualify or be on the leaderboards and try to make the top leaderboards, right? But you could play all day and night to try to qualify for the MCS tournaments. And when I was doing hella money games at all hours, and we'd all be in there laughing and talking trash and having fun. So some good times though, Trey. And then like yeah, I mean it was slow. Like I think this year would have really sucked without the small PlayStation tournaments. I mean I got $80 just paid up actually yesterday from the tournaments I won. So I think that's what 12, 13, 14, 16 tournaments or something that I won in like, I don't know, a month and a half. So not amazing, not horrible, but like I think they paid me a total of $115. So what would that be? How many tournaments would that be? $5 each, 20, like 23 tournaments I think I won total in the 2 months I did it. But it wasn't about the money, it was more that there was something to play for, right? Instead of just doing normal games for me.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that for sure. Yeah, the PS tournaments were definitely came in clutch. Hopefully, this year we'll have something. Because I agree, it's like, playing head-to-head seasons after a while it gets dry. I'm hoping that they bring up, which I think NCAA is doing similar to weekend league, so hopefully Madden can come by and do the same thing. But I want to ask you, I know you have the thumb injury and all that, but what are you looking at right now as far as getting back into streaming? Are you just kind of playing it by ear at this point? Like should fans expect you to come back streaming, this year, or should or are you pretty much decided that you're probably just gonna hold out until the new game comes out?
That's a really good question, Trey. For me, it's all play it by ear. Like, I want to keep streaming. Like, I want to keep doing it because, like, I don't know, for like 6 months, I believe, 5, 6 months, I was really, really good. And then injuries unfortunately happened, which sucked. And obviously, I can't control that. I mean, I wish I could because I'd still be streaming. But at the same time, it's kind of dead. It is really kind of dead, especially even if I had money games, it wouldn't be that many games right now. Most people are done with Madden 24. So for me, like, I'm not going to rush it. I'm not gonna push it where like I'm trying to get back to stream and then I ruin my thumb even worse for Madden 25, which is way more important right now. So yeah, if I'm not 100%, I probably won't be doing any more streaming until Madden 25, and then on Madden 25, I will see the streaming. I will see what I'm gonna do. Like, I don't want people to think that I'm forgetting about them, but like I definitely will be streaming a lot like I did this year on Madden 25. I will definitely put out an updated schedule. I'm still going to plan on doing it 4 days a week when it comes out. It'll depend on what I'm doing. Technically, I might do head-to-head games, you know what I mean? Just like, for to try to earn coins while I'm streaming. I might do other stuff. We'll see how it goes, but I definitely will be doing money games in Madden 25, Trey, on stream.
Yeah, so that's something to look out for sure. And hoping that Shane gets recovered and he's able to come back. And I know that when he does decide to come back, he will be consistent. He will put out some good content for you guys as always. And yeah, Shane, I appreciate you hopping on. I appreciate the conversations, and I appreciate you guys in the chat that are supporting us even through time periods and all that. But we're trying to get it settled and all that. But sometimes life gets in the way. What are you gonna do? And also, I want to give a shout out to Shane because he did win the poll the last podcast where we asked, well, which one is less American, not hating fireworks or hating cheesecake? And hating fireworks took the poll, so I was wrong. So I'm the less American, and Shane is more American on that. So, but yeah, other than that, we will be back. Let me look at my text messages here. We will be back August 2nd, 10:30 p.m. Pacific time for another episode of the West Coast Podcast. And make sure if you want to check me out, my YouTube is Trey is Raw. I'm going to be doing some more interviews on there as well as hopefully some more Madden content over there. And I'll throw it back over to Shane to see if he has anything else he wants to say before we get out of here for the night.
All right, I appreciate it, Trey. Like always, man. My man Trey, man, he's putting it down. Just go check him out, like he said, on his YouTube channel. And yes. So we are gonna be very consistent starting August 2nd. Yes, there might be times where somebody gets sick or somebody has to go somewhere, but it will mainly be every other week on a Friday at 10:30 p.m. Pacific time. That way, you guys know that you can show up, chill, hang out. We interact with the audience. We interact with the comment section. A shout out to Soul Crush. I want to say that because he always listens to Trey and I's podcast either live while he's doing stuff or after after the podcast is ended, he plays it back. Soul, I'm sorry that I put you out on there for blast when I beat you on the beta, bro. But you know how it is, dog. Like me. over you in video games. I mean, that's just, normal life business. Trey, I told you that I was more American on that, bro. But we'll have another one. I appreciate the votes that happened. But yeah, let's we are roughly like a month away from Madden 25. Madden 25 will get really busy again. You'll be able to have free tips on here. You'll be able to hang out and chill. Becoming a paid sub will mean a lot to me. I mean, you'll be able to play back, how I do stuff. I'll put out videos for paid subscribers that I won't for the general public, but I will be doing a lot for the general public as well. I think that people do should get help free at times, and it's cool just to interact with everyone. Also, so we will be back August 2nd at 10:30 p.m. Pacific time, like Trey said, and that will be roughly a couple weeks before Madden 25 is released to everyone that didn't pay for it early. And it'll be awesome. Let's get to 10,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel, Shane Got You 11. And all that'll do is get people paid. Three people will get $100 randomly drawn. Like last time, it's on the random drawing website. We do it, excuse me. So the more you help me, the more I help you. So it's like a kosher relationship. Definitely go check out Trey. Trey is one of the best interviewers out there. So for Trey, I'm Shane. This is the West Coast Podcast. We will see you guys again August 2nd at 10:30 p.m. Pacific time, and we will definitely be out there during the grind of the new Madden season for everybody to hang out with us. So till next time, I'm Shane. With me as always was Trey. This was the West Coast Podcast.